Hi, I'm Todd from Extang, and today we're going to install our brand new matte black finish Extang EnCore tonneau on a 2016 Toyota Tacoma. To mount the EnCore to the Tacoma, we're going to have to work around Toyota's cargo management system. We've supplied some extra hardware that will allow you to mount the EnCore to the truck. First, we're going to have to do some prep work. We're going to remove the side rails, and we're also going to remove the header to mount some pads and some hardware to the truck body. Here we go. Now to mount this, we're going to need a 1/2-inch socket, a 10mm socket, and a T30 hex drive. Now first we're going to remove the header rail from this Toyota Tacoma's bed, and we're going to mount one of these pads on each end to fill a gap. You'll need the T30 hex drive to remove this rail. Now while I remove the header rail, I'll also use the T30 bit to take off the side rails as well. We're going to set those aside and return to them in just a moment when we mount the tonneau. But now that we have the header rail free, we can take our self-adhesive pad and place it on the end, and that's going to fill up the gap on each side of the front of the truck for us. When those are replaced, just simply put the header rail back on the truck with the OE provided screws. Now we're ready to prepare our side rails for the tonneau cover to be mounted on the truck. What you want to do at this location is slide your clamp brackets from the tail end towards the cab end of the truck. Put 3 in, sliding up to the second position from the front, and then we'll put the front one in last. There's a specific pattern to the back of the clamp that will align with our drain tube at the front of the side rail, and you'll just want to make sure that that fits in easily. Once you've prepped one side rail, repeat the steps for the other side rail. Once we've prepped our side rails, we'll mount the brackets to the truck bed side rails. We'll put these into the holes that the bolts came out of for the OE cargo management system. Now once your brackets have been installed into the underbody of our side rail, you'll want to position the side rail and brackets to align with the screw holes that we remove the cargo management rack system from. When you have these in position, you'll take the T30 bit screws and loosely secure them. The T30 bit screws are used in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th position back from the cab. The cab wall requires a different screw. It has a hex head on it. As I said, you want to get these in position and loosely secure them so that when we're aligned, we'll come back and do our final tightening. Before securing these, we'll want to make sure that our side rail is sitting level and plumb and flush down to the side of the truck bed wall. For speed, I'm using a drill to set these. I'm being very careful not to strip them, but I will come back and tighten these with a socket at the end of our installation. So I'm just finishing up the final steps of the installation of the side rail on the opposite side. Tightening down the bolts to make sure they're not stripped. And we've made sure that we've butted up the block and side rail all the way up to the cab rail. So both side rails should be equally spaced back from the bulkhead. Now we'll get ready to mount the Toyota cargo management system back onto our side rail brackets, and then we'll lay the tonneau into position. Now we're going to remount the cargo management system back onto the Tacoma. What you want to do is you want to make sure that any tie-down cleats are inserted into the rail system before we remount. And when we remount, we're going to take the short screws that we provided, the coated screws that have the T30 hex head, and we're going to mount these rails to the lower position on our bracket. Once you're finished with one side, repeat the same steps for the other. Once our side rails are mounted and finally installed, we'll need to mount a drain tube to the underside of the forward portion. And then you'll route this through the bed. You'll need to drill a 1/2-inch hole and route this through the main portion of the bed. Repeat the step for the other side. Now that we have our side rails remounted to the truck bed, we're ready to place the cover into position. When we rotate this into the position, we lay it so the rear hooks, when rotated down, would fall and rest in between the narrow set pins. After the cover's been mounted to the side rails, you want to make sure and mount the hook and tether on these yellow cables to each side rail. One slight adjustment to make to the rear, and we should be good to go and ready to code our key. At the rear of the cover, we have a slam latch. This slam latch can be extended by loosening these screws and running it outboard so that the toggle or the plunger makes sufficient contact with our side rail. In this case, when I've mounted it, I'm not making that sufficient contact, so I'm going to extend those outward. All you'll need to make this adjustment is a Phillips head screwdriver. Simply loosen the outer screws, run the striker out towards the perimeter, and retighten your screws. You want to check both sides to make sure that you're making adequate contact. This side needs to be extended as well. Now that we've got the cover installed, all we need to do is code it to your OE ignition key. Now on the Tacoma, you will receive a key that's mounted inside your fob. Looks something like this. We do not want to use this type of key on the install for the tonneau cover. We want to use the key that they provide to lock your tailgate. When you code, you'll want to insert the key completely and then rotate 270 degrees. The cylinder and the tumblers inside the cylinder will learn your OE key. Once that's been coded, rotate it 90 degrees 4, 5, 6 times to make sure you have a smooth operation. You should be in the locked position. When it's rotated 90 degrees, you should be unlocked. You're good to go. Now you may use your Extang EnCore on your Toyota Tacoma folded forward towards the cab, covering the first third of the bed with both of these straps secured. Before traveling, you'll also want to make sure that these tethers are secured to the side rail as well. Never travel with your EnCore open in this position. Never travel with your EnCore open in this position either. The EnCore can be operated completely closed, or as I said earlier, folded towards the cab with both straps secured to their buckles. We're very excited to launch the EnCore for the 2016 and later Toyota Tacomas. It's the first offering we've had for the Toyota Tacoma. We're very excited about it. We hope you enjoy it as well.